Good evening and welcome Race Club fans to yet another exciting race from Race Club UK's Season 7. This week we are in Zolder, and as you can see on screen we have a bulging grid full of 18 drivers who are all out there qualifying, ready for our 1.5 hour endurance race. We've got just 5 minutes of qualifying remaining to decide the grid. As you can see, it's pretty close most of the way down. First to 17th, just 3.5 seconds apart. So it looks like we're going to have a lively night today all the way down the grid. But fantastically, not only is the grid on the track bulging, the commentary box is bulging because we've got fan favourite Dan in here as well, Mr. Technical. How are you doing, Dan?
Evening, everyone. How are we all doing?
Yeah, I think we're good. And also, for the first time ever, I believe the first time ever, commentating live from Portugal, we have Jose.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone.
Great to have you on board, Jose. It's going to be a wild ride for all of us, I think, tonight. So hopefully we'll all gel together as the evening goes on. As we're just watching the Irish driver Ricardo O'Hall putting it in the wall at one of the chicanes. We've got our usual front guys up at the top end at the moment. We've got Donardi on provisional pole. Well, everyone I'm looking at the moment's throwing it in the wall, because Rusty GT I've just got onto has just thrown it in the wall as well. So yeah, as I was saying, top of the pole at the moment is Donardi. Chicken Paxo in second, just 0.078 of a second behind. He's just going out for one more go to try and snatch that pole off his teammate. And then in third place we have Banana Man 3000, and just behind him DB Kung. And race winner from last week was fifth. He's down to 6th because Alex Powell, he's just jumped up to 5th. So it is remarkably tight. Top 7 all within a second. Hey Dan, that is really tight stuff.
Yeah, very tight stuff. I just want to add that you gave Donardi the old commentator's curse there, because I was on board with him, and as you mentioned his name, he spun it round.
Oh, right. That was a full hat trick there.
Yeah, it definitely was. He spun it round, got himself back to the pits quickly, and he's back out again.
Oh, brilliant. And Jose, have you got any experience on this circuit?
That, curiously, they seem to all have issues with that first chicane. I think it will be, they are trying to get the most speed out of there. But yeah, those side sausages can really make your car suddenly lose control and you meet the wall. I think the Bentleys do particularly well when it comes to the curbs.
It's quite a big car, isn't it, the Bentley?
Yeah.
Do you think that helps?
Yeah, the way the suspension is normally on the Bentley, you almost don't feel it. For example, the other British car, the one I normally use, the Aston, you can feel much more if you hit a curb. Even with the same ride height, the feeling is different. But the curbs can, I think the curbs can make or break time on this circuit.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I think what a lot of the drivers are going to have to do is have a look at the rebound settings in their suspension, because the fast rebound will help with the curbs around here. So that setting's going to need to be right down, I think.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the Bentley there, Jose, and we've got the Bentley of not the Bentley, it's the Bentley of Mr. Johnny Waffle on screen now. The Bentley has been out of favour a little bit, but this season a lot of the drivers who entered later on have chosen the Bentley, so it seems to have come back into favour again.
Yeah, I think it's not in terms of fuel. I think it might not be the best. It's close to the Aston, but it drinks a bit more fuel. But the McLaren is also a very popular and solid choice right now. I think we have quite a lot of them. Then there's always the Porsches, which are basically powerhouses with not much strategy beyond just be faster as possible every lap. I'm curious to see the Audis, how they will fare on this circuit, because the Audis can be a bit unpredictable, so it will be interesting, I think.
Okay, well, we're winding our way up to the end of qualifying. The time has run out, and it looks like at the moment Donardi has hung on to that pole position, but Chicken Paxo is having one more go at it. You'll have to bear with us tonight, because I've discovered this before. The Belgium cameramen at Zolder seem to be particularly slow at finding cars when I click the link to get them to go on to a particular driver. So they've just caught up with Chicken Paxo. He's heading for the line. He's currently second. Has he got anything else extra in that car? No, he hasn't. He stays second. So the only one out there that can do anything is Banana Man, and he's actually just exited the pit, so he's not going to be able to get a lap in. And DB Kung, who we know has pulled off a few pole positions in the past, he's just coming through the final chicane towards the finishing line. He is just 0.387 off pole at the moment. Has he made any difference there? No, he hasn't. He stays fifth. So that is our rundown of the grid as we go towards qualifying. But just to remind you, we have a 90-minute endurance for you, so we're going to see some pit stops, we're going to see some strategy, so it'll be interesting to see how it all works out, because I think this is the first time we've done a 90-minute at Zolder. So with those curbs that we were mentioning, or Jose was mentioning, that we do have to bear in mind, there is curbs on quite a few little elements around this track, and particularly the first chicane can send you airborne, so drivers will have to be a little bit careful of that one, because when they fire you in the air, as Jose mentioned, the sausages, you can end up in a little bit of disaster. So just to run down the grid, we've got our quite regular pole sitter Donardi in first, Chicken Paxo alongside him in second. They are teammates. And just as I mentioned, I do believe Dan has Chicken Paxo, our front row sitter, in the commentary box for a little chat.
Yeah, we do indeed. Ben, how are you going?
Not so bad, mate, other than tonsillitis and man flu, but we're doing alright. How about you?
Manning up for us, that's what I like to see.
A whole can of man up.
Yeah, a whole can. Right, really close to your teammate there.
Yeah.
How do you feel it's going tonight?
Yeah, it's alright. Setup seems quite comfortable. Yeah, able to push on it, lean on it, got consistent lap times in some of the practice runs that I've done, so key to a long race is just being consistent. Good.
So, setup wise, what are you thinking? Low drag, considering you've got a lot of straights here?
It's a difficult one, because yes, you've got some long straights, but some of those corners need you to be pinned to the road. So like your first corner, for example, that if you've got two little downforce, you'll just go straight off there, and so it's a mixture. So I think I'm probably about just over halfway up on the rear wing. So
okay.
Actually, no, I'll tell you, I'm actually nearly all the way up. So yeah, I've played around with different setups, and having something that pins it to the road seems to be the fastest one.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the track, what I would say is this is a low drag, more mechanical grip with the chicanes you got here. Any plans going into that first left-hander?
Try and avoid killing myself. That's always a good start. You said it last week, you can't win a race in the first corner, but you most definitely can lose it. So basically just try and keep out of trouble, again come out the other side, and keep plugging away till the end of the race. So it'll be an interesting one. We looked at a couple of setup options, and there is a setup and a pit strategy which you could go through without a pit stop. It's tight on fuel, to put it mildly, but it is possible.
Well, we are getting close to kick-off time, so I may have to let you go in a minute. But
yeah.
Before I do, you're looking like you're going to be on the outside of the grid for that first corner, but that does feed in not quite nicely to a right-hand corner. So, is the plan to go around the outside for that first corner?
Again, main plan: avoid trouble. That's
Avoid trouble.
Avoid trouble. We've got some new faces on the grid tonight, so let's just concentrate on getting around the corners and like I said, just see where we go afterwards. But just keep it clean, keep going, and see what happens.
And
go on.
Oh, sorry, go on, Trevor.
I was going to say, Jose, as you need to, Elliot got a very, very quick question for Ben.
No, just good luck.
Thank you very much, sir.
Best
Thank
of luck,
you very
mate.
much.
Ben, before you go, just want to remind you, cold tyres, cold brakes going into that first corner.
Yeah.
Ben will get that
Cold
reference.
Tyres, cold tyres, and how can I ever forget it? I've been trying to for years. But I'm going to shoot, guys. Best of luck to you two, or you three, sorry. Good luck, Trev. Good luck, Dan. Good luck, Jose. And I'll catch you later.
See you later.
Yeah.
See you, guys.
Good luck.
Okay, well, we are already getting a little bit of chat in on YouTube, and we'd love to hear from everybody on that. Vortex Racing has said good evening. Now, I believe that is Jordan Hogan, who I've commentated on and off for quite a few times over the years. Donardi has said good luck, Trev. Yorkshire Mick, he's one of our new drivers. He's very enthusiastic. He seems to particularly love the commentary, so we're always happy to hear from people like that. And Jorgen, that's Stevie Kung, isn't it? He says good luck, everyone. Yeah, Vortex has confirmed that he's Jordan. Problem is, when there's sort of 10 drivers on the grid, it's easy to remember who everybody is. When you've suddenly got 18, it's a bit of a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, especially with a lot of new drivers that have come in as well. It's trying to get everyone correct, and what's even worse is getting their making sure you get the correct card to the correct person as well.
Oh, that's the other challenge. And George Marge, G Marge, he's in with us somewhere tonight, I believe, as well. I think he says good luck, everyone. I haven't got the whole grid on the screen at the moment because I'm taking a whole new risk and going for the helicopter shot for the start. So we might.
Good choice.
Well, we do seem to have this habit of missing things, so I thought let's try something different. So, well, do you want to talk us around this circuit, Dan, as we're working our way around that sort of first long right-hander?
I'll tell you what. I think as a trial by fire, I think Jose should give it this one.
Well,
Okay, so we have the right corner to the straight that leads to the first chicane. We already passed the first corner. I think it will be interesting exactly because as you said, there are a lot of new faces, and the starts in ACC can be very technical. A lot of it can go wrong like it happened in Monza, not on the first corner, but now the next corner you go up slightly a bit, then you go down, and then you need to prepare for the second chicane. And this one, if you don't brake on the right spot, you go straight into the sand. It's
Are you
really tricky.
Are you avoiding the curbs there, or are you running those curbs?
My point of braking is just after the corner. I brake, I put just one of the tires on the curb, then the other one. The perfect thing is to take it as straight as possible over there. Now another straight.
Yeah, it looks like we're starting to come out to the final.
I'm going to have to snatch the microphone from you, Jose.
Yeah, definitely.
As we're coming up to the last chicane, the one of the less challenging ones around this circuit, and we are getting side by side. As you look at it, the black car is Donardi, the green car is Campaxo, and behind him the green Mercedes is Banana Man and De Silva on the right hand side. We appear to be missing somebody. But we are away down to the first corner, and it looks like Chicken Paxo's got a good run. He's trying to go round the outside of Donardi at the first corner, and it looks like he's made it because the next corner is a right-hander. And oh no, and Donardi's coming back. He's driving his black car right round the outside of the two right-handers. What a fantastic move. He's now got the high ground for the first chicane. And he sweeps across and has pulled out a cracking manoeuvre there. And that's left Chicken Paxo out of position, vulnerable to Banana Man, who is looking at him as we go up to the first chicane. But here comes, who was that, Alex? Was that Alex Powell down the inside there? Well, that was De Silva. De Silva went down the inside. What a fantastic first couple of corners there, Dan.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think Ben's taken my advice there, hasn't he? And has put his car in a decent position for turn 2. So good, well done to Donardi on getting that back. I will say that.
Yeah, he certainly did a good job there. I'm just messing up the cameras a little bit here, but sorry everyone at home, I have got my act together. So just having a quick look down the list, it looks like nobody particularly fell out of position there. Looks like that was a pretty clean start there for once. So the worry Jose had about Monza didn't come home to roost there.
We still got a second chicane to come. Yet, Trev, let's not count our chickens.
Well, we're nearly around a whole lap, and look at this. They are streaming across the line, and it looks like fairly much, apart from Sean Smethurst, who did seem to be struggling a little bit on pace. Oh, the one who is out of position is DB Kung. He's down there in 17th, so he must have had an instant there. I don't know, did you see what happened there, Jose?
No, unfortunately, no. Not. But I agree. What a start from the top 3. That side by side on the first corners, marvelous passing on the first chicane by Da Silva. This is promising to be a great race, without a doubt.
I agree, and I think that was fantastic racing there. I think De Silva particularly was very opportunistic at that first chicane, and sort of slid up the inside of Banana Man, but there's just 2-3 seconds covering the first 4 at the moment, so it is still fantastically tight up at the front.
Yeah, De Silva's really high on, really up on Paxo's gearbox, so whether Ben's purposely slowing him down to give Donardi a bit more of a chance, or he's just over defending, and because he's dropped back by 1.5 seconds, and over a lap, that's a lot to lose.
Well, where I was just going to jump to was the battle for 7th is absolutely frantic, because we've got Vortex, Alex Powell. Oh, and just seen Chris V. Dub, I think, ran into the back there of Vortex.
He's just ducked into the pits now, so
and I
that's
think
a very early pit stop.
Yeah, and Randy Flangepants, I think, unfortunately, paid a little bit of a price there. So not only did Chris V. Dub take out another car, he also took out his teammate in the same instant by the look of it. So I think there'll be an interesting post-race discussion there.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've got a good battle for 9th and 10th at the moment with Rusty TJ and THG Mike.
Quick look, I've just hopped onto it. It is remarkably tight the whole way down.
Yeah, we are starting to see little groups form though. If you have a look.
That was who was that? Johnny Waffle just got bitten by that first chicane. He's Orange Bentley came through at basically altitude, I would describe it as.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, you'd think with the weight of that Bentley that it'd just plough through those sausage curbs, but unfortunately not.
Yeah, I think it's heavy, but not quite that heavy, is it, Jose?
Yeah.
It doesn't make you invulnerable to the curbs. It makes them not so much of a problem, but not to that point. Your car might still fly, like we saw. That was a bit too much speed over there.
It was. Okay, so as they head through the final chicane, it's difficult to know where to look because we have got battles the whole way down the field because who was that just whizzing across the start-finish line there? Because we've got Rusty TJ, as you say, he's on the back of Mike 65 and Yorkshire Mika, who we discovered as quite a consistent little driver there in the first of those, or the second, sorry, of those two Bentleys. The Bentleys seem to be hunting in the pack there at 7th, 8th and 9th, I've noticed.
Yeah, it does seem to be consistent, don't they? They're hunting down those Mercedes and those McLarens, so maybe we should get 3 trios going instead of pairs, because those McLarens up the front are really showing the Bentleys how to do it.
Oh, trio, that was a chocolate bar when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's too difficult to get my words out. I kept on thinking triples and no trios, that's the way to go.
So, just while the cameraman catches up, so we're starting to try and get a feel for who is where. In the orange car there on screen is Yorkshire Micker. He's being hunted down by Mike 65 in the Porsche. And then a little way behind them, we've got Rusty TJ, who does look to be under pressure there, actually, from the recovering Vortex, who had that little bit of a bump from behind from Chris V. Dub, who's Welsh, I believe.
Well, do you know what? I honestly think that the Porsches should be a little bit higher up. I think they're really well suited to this kind of track, given that a lot of it is mechanical grip.
Yeah, well, I think they would be a bit higher up if Chris V. Dub hadn't done a demolition Porsche job.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the mechanics in his garage after he's had to come in for probably a new front end, I would have said.
Yeah, it's. I think he got a little bit caught out on the braking there. Well, we are. Sorry, go on.
Luckily, the engine's in the rear, so it's not too bad.
So I'm just trying to see where our best bumbling up battles are.
Someone was off track. Someone was.
I would say it's De Silva on Paxo at the moment, so Ben is really fighting his corner, but I think before too long we're going to see De Silva with the overtake here. Okay,
just a quick jump to YouTube. Vicente, who we know has raced with us a few times, has said good evening, enjoy the race. So pity you're not racing with us tonight, but as you can see, we have a rammed full grid here at Race Club UK, and just remember we are sponsored by the great people at Lovely Stickers that do all the decals for steering wheels and seats and so on. And just as I'm talking about, De Silva's going for the inside at the first corner. He's having a look, he's licked the stamp, he's launched it, but can't quite make it stick to the envelope. So
no, I think Ben's got a decent setup with that car, and he knows that corner, how to do that corner now. So turn one, he knows he can leave the door open for a bit. Although he's coming back.
He's coming back. He's all over him like a cheap suit. And De Silva's the wrong side for this chicane, isn't he? The chicane's a left-right, so I think he's going to have to bide his time. But this is a real nip and tuck battle. Shall we do the ultimate curse and go on board? Here we go. We're on board with De Silva, hunting down Chicken Paxo at the Villeneuve chicane and taking whopping great chunks out of those curbs. Oh no! And the curse is strong yet again. De Silva got all sideways coming out of the Villeneuve chicane there, and he's now being hassled by Banana Man.
Yeah, that one little mistake, I mean, just goes to show you how one little mistake can cost you almost a second on this track.
Just how competitive these guys are up the front, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Jose, go on, you go.
He managed still to, could have been a lot worse. He managed to regain control of the car fairly quickly, but yeah, at the worst possible spot. When you exit that chicane, you want to get on power as fast as you can, and it was where it went wrong. But I think he might catch up.
Yeah, I think Vortex has just gained a position over Rusty TJ because they came through the last chicane and Vortex got a little bit sideways, but Rusty TJ had gone wide and across the grass. So Vortex in that pink, black and white Porsche is continuing his run back up the grid, and the next one that he's got his eye on is the other Porsche of Mike 65. So I think that's the battle that's going to come to us, and the other one is it's the two Bentleys in 6th and 7th are having a go at each other. They are just 0.3 of a second apart. In fact, I think Alex Powell might have got by. Am I right in thinking that? As there's so many cars, I'm struggling to keep track of everyone. I think Johnny
so
Waffle might have been overtaken.
Yeah, he has been. Alex Powell's now caught up to Richard Hall, who I think is a lap down.
He is. Well, I don't know. We didn't see what happened to Richard O'Hall, our famous Irish driver, but he's right down at the back there, right? Or he's only just in front of Chris V Dub. So, but as we know, with these long endurance races, it can come back to you later on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm curious as to whether anyone's going to try and go the full whack. I mean, we're seeing, Marges down there, Groots down in the kind of back section of the grid. Are they going for a long stint, do you think?
Possibly. Well, I think our fuel expert is actually in Portugal, because I did see some comments from him in the race chat. He'd done all the calculations of how much fuel you needed to get through the race, hadn't you, Jose?
Yes, around 140 liters. So most of these cars consume around 2.5, 2.6 liters per lap. So you can go for a one stop, but I think by my tests that the tires will go first before the fuel runs out. It will get trickier and trickier because of that. Now, you can do a one stop, possibly no stop like Danardi said. I don't think a two stop, but going all out, like if it was qualifying, doesn't seem like the better. Today's race will have a lot of strategy. Really a lot.
Okay, just to cut across you there quickly, Jose, we've got a great battle here at the moment for 10th place. We've got Rusty TJ in the grey McLaren there, and in the blue and orange Audi we have Groot, and they've been battling wheel to wheel for a few corners there, but does actually, just as I put the camera on them, it looks like Rusty has eased away a little bit, but they are actually catching DB Kung, who was the driver recovering from the start, and he's got his way back up to 10th already.
Yeah, I see he's chasing down Vortex's Porsche as well. And just while I'm here, I think we should appreciate the fact the colour scheme on that Porsche. It looks lovely.
On what? On Vortex?
On the Vortex Porsche, yeah. I really like the black, white and pink there.
Well, it's very distinctive, which is what we like up here in Race Club Commentary Box, because we have had a few seasons where everyone decided to sort of paint their cars orange, which was a little bit of a nightmare when you're scrabbling around trying to work out who's doing what. So I'm actually just bumping back up to the front because I've noticed that De Silva is on Chicken Paxo at the first corner, trying to go right round the outside, and he can't make it stick. He's really given the rough tough to Chicken Paxo. There's De Silva, and De Silva, of course, is in the silver McLaren. So it's a McLaren 1, 2, 3 at the moment. I think De Silva's going to get through here at some point because he's banging at the door, and at some point it's going to get left open.
Yeah, he's Ben's doing all that he can, but I think he's just he's opening up that gap to Donardi. So I think for the team at this point, Ben should just do everything he can to just hold up De Silva.
Well, do you think it's a team thing, or is it every man for himself with those two guys at the front?
I think with that team it's every man for himself, but if Ben was a good teammate, he'd certainly have that in the back of his mind. Yeah, well, he's certainly doing a good job of holding him up, because at the moment Donardi's already 8.5 seconds up the road, so
I think it will be interesting to see if De Silva does get by Chicken Paxo, will he be able to cruise up onto the back of Donardi?
I think it's all going to come to play in the pit stops here, actually. I really do. It'll be interesting to see if someone runs really, really long and then just does a quick top up of fuel. So we'll see towards the end of the race, I think.
So, oh, here we go again. De Silva looking to the inside at the first corner. Has to get out of it. Takes a big chunk out of the inside curb, but still keeps it going. I'm desperate to look back to see what DB Kung and Vortex are up to. I'm terrified of looking away from this battle, but I am probably going to.
I'll stick with this battle, and
okay,
if anything starts happening, I'll let you know.
Okay, so we've got Vortex with DB Kung right under the rear wing. DB Kung in the blue Mercedes, in the pink and black Porsche is Vortex, and they go up to the second corner, which is a right-hander, and we're into another right-hander, and DB Kung can't quite get the move done at the moment. And in the background we've got, looks like Rusty TJ, while these two are battling, he's cruising back up onto the back. Oh, there's a Porsche off there in front. I think that was Mike 65's had an incident. I think he's recovering. I don't know how much damage he's got, but he's lost a few spots there. He was, I think, up in front of these guys, and now he's dropped to behind them. So yeah, he had a bit of an incident there coming out of the sort of third right-hander, but he does seem to be back up to speed and working along with them. So this battle is now become a four-way battle, in fact.
No, sorry, go on, Jose, go on.
Mike is still. I can't speak in front of the team. This is my teammate. We are still getting used to Assetto Corsa. Mainly our career was on Gran Turismo, but I think we shall see maybe on the next season, when Mike is more used to the car, to the driving, I think we might start to see what he's really capable of, and it's much more than he's showing today. He's a really great driver.
I think Jose, I think he's getting the grip of it, because he's just gone round the outside of Rusty TJ in the first sequence of corners. So I think you're safe there. I think Rusty had made a mistake, and he at that last chicane he fell rather back into the clutches of Mike there. But Mike got the move done. He was right round the outside on the marbles, but kept it together, and he's got himself up into the top 10.
We might get a 5-car fight soon.
Okay.
I mean, Mike has Rusty and Groot right close to him, and is getting real close to the other two cars in front. So we might have a 5-car fight. Which,
I was just going to say that we've got battles all the way down the field. I've just hopped down to 13th, 14th and 15th, who are all battling together, and I just missed, unfortunately, Randy Flangepants getting by Marge, and he's in 14th, and Yorkshire Mika is in 15th. So Yorkshire Mika looks a little bit out of position for me, because he's been fairly consistent in the last couple of outings here, and he's just at the back of this pack of three battling for 13th.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's had some kind of off, because I'm pretty sure he was higher up the grid than that.
He's usually around 8th to 10th, isn't he? So
yeah,
I think he's had a little bit of an issue somewhere. But Randy Flangepants is trying to make a comeback for the golf-coloured team, and in fact, actually, Yorkshire Mika's the one making the comeback there, because he's getting under Marge, and so Yorkshire Mika's up to 14th and Marge is down to 15th. So the battles are going on the whole way round the field.
It's very interesting. Also, because I think because of the circuit is much smaller, gets everything grouped together. but also a very uniform and very close drivers throughout the field.
So sorry to cut across. De Silva's just made a really good move on Paxo, and Paxo's coming back, so it might be worth switching over.
I'm on to them. Yeah, we can see De Silva has eventually got that second place, but as you say, it doesn't look like Chicken Paxo is giving it up at the moment.
No, for sure.
The other factor is, look who's coming. Banana Man is taking advantage of these two fighting, and he's got himself onto the back of this battle. So as we look at it, and that's De Silva in second, Chicken Paxo in the Alan McLaren in third, and then Banana Man in the Mercedes in fourth. So these are all covered by less than a second at the moment, so absolutely fantastic stuff.
A few laps, and it looked like driving on rage or anger because he's starting to make mistakes.
Okay. Slightly odd things at the moment. This is not what the drivers are actually seeing. And they are just sorting themselves out. We do get a sort of occasional glitch in the matrix, so the system is not exactly sure where the cars are or which way they're pointing, but it is getting itself back up to speed. Oh, Alex Powers picked up a drive-through. That is going to be painful.
What do we think that is? Curbs?
Yeah, track limits, and he's charging straight in.
Oh.
I don't know. I think he did actually clunk the wall there. He was.
Yeah, no, he did. He went full pelt into the wall. I wonder if he's having internet problems.
Yeah, well, I hope there's not a server problem,
Oh.
but he's the Alex Powers our Ocon of the night award at the moment.
Yeah, there's a few people in the pits at the moment, which is interesting. I see Randy's in there as well.
Yeah, well, I noticed Sean Smethurst jettisoned himself back to the pits after an incident at the final chicane. So that wasn't a connection issue, I believe. I think that was just down to the fact that he had gone off and maybe done some damage, so decided to go back to the pits to repair it.
I think this will hurt a bit more than usual because.
Oh, we have driver interviews at our Dan. I believe we have Randy Flangepants in the commentary box for a chat. Do we, Dan?
Yeah, we do. Randy, do you want to care to explain what's happened?
So I built my own load cell brake pedal, and it's not quite as reliable as I might have hoped.
Oh.
It seems to fail randomly after about 30 minutes or so. And it failed at the run-up to the pit lane entrance, so I just went straight on into the wall basically. So I'm having to pit very early, and I've sat here for about 3 minutes in terms of the damage that I received.
Oh wow! Wow.
So we'll just see how the rest of the race goes. I don't think I'm going to be able to rest it very much. But that being said, a few other people are making mistakes, so there's opportunity maybe to pick up more than last pace, so we'll see.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, we just see Alex plough into the wall, into the pit wall actually, as he was driving into the pits, and I can see DB Cumm's already in there as well. So maybe there'll be a battle for the last positions.
Yeah, at the moment we're looking at, if we do well, Chris and I, potential third place in the team championship. But it's looking less and less likely after today's result, but we'll see. At the moment every place counts because of the way the point system works. There's not a huge differential between 10th and 15th place. You still pick up a good number of points, so even if you're running as a back marker, you still get rewarded for putting the race in and completing it. So fingers crossed.
Can I just ask one quick question? Was your teammate responsible for a bit of an incident where you got taken out as well?
There was just a lot of mess before the corner, and I ended up leaving the track and then getting knocked around a little bit. I don't think anything particularly to blame for that. There were just too many cars in there going into a corner altogether.
You may want to watch the replay.
Oh.
I think your teammate may be receiving a claim from Vortex for damage to the rear end of his Porsche.
Oh yes, yeah, he has admitted to that in the chat.
Um,
Oh no, I've just got to stop the game.
Yes, I was
Oh,
just
no!
about to. Yeah. I fear that's because you were too busy talking to us, so
Oh well.
we might have to let you go.
I think we'll have a word with the stewards on your behalf, Randy, but we'll have to let you go.
Yeah, nice talking to you guys. Take care.
Cheers, thanks.
Take care.
See ya.
I just want to get back to the battle for third place. Banana Man is right on the gearbox of Paxo. I'm not too sure whether Ben's having issues, but he's pulled right back from De Silva.
Yeah, Chickapacso third, as you say, he's dropped away nearly 5 seconds from De Silva. And I suppose we need to keep an eye on that gap between first and second to see whether De Silva is winding them in. But as you say, Banana Man in that lime green Mercedes is giving Chickapacso there in third a lot of hassle.
Yeah, he is indeed. I think the next battle is the battle for seventh with Vortex and Rusty TJ.
I don't know if it's only me, but on the exit of the corners, Ben looks to be struggling a bit, like having to press the accelerator really careful not to lose control of the car. So maybe the tires, maybe he's having a bit more wear on the tires than the Silva, and
possibly.
Maybe that explains why he lost all that time.
I have a strong feeling that maybe his setup isn't as good as De Silva's. I think maybe he should have listened to me when I said low drag.
Well, someone who is in a bit of a battle here at the moment, I'm watching Groot in ninth, and Mike, who had that little bit of an incident a few laps ago, in 10th, is giving Groot quite a hard time. And also not far away is Yorkshire Mika on the back of this, so we've got a three-way battle here for ninth as they Mike just launched himself. Yeah, he just launched himself at that chicane of doom, and Yorkshire Mika has said thank you very much, and that's Yorkshire Mika up to 10th and Mike down to 11th. So from sort of being the aggressor on Groot, Mike has now found himself behind Yorkshire Mika.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Yorkshire Mika's done a fantastic job today, I think, given that he's pulled his way up from, I think he was what, 14th? 13th,
yeah,
14th?
He was
definitely low down, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was lower than we expected. Oh, he's coming under pressure from Mike at the final chicane. I think Mike wants that spot back. It looks to me like Mike is he's quick, but he's having those few off-track moments, which is costing him dearly.
Yeah, I think driving the Porsche isn't probably helping him here.
No, it has rather got all the weight in the wrong spot, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there is a fantastic car. It is probably good round here, but if you're not used to the car, you'll struggle. And if he's a newbie to ACC, it's a hard car to set up.
But he's fine. He's just outside the top 10, so he's not far away. And the great thing is, I'm not sure if Sean is parked up in the pits, but we still have everybody in the race who started it. So we've still got a full element of 18 drivers. And the interesting thing I've noticed is, I know we were talking about Chicken Paxo and Banana Man battling in third, but I think the one to watch at the moment is De Silva, because in the last couple of laps he's taken nearly 2 seconds out of that lead of Donardi.
Yeah, he has indeed. I think he's on a mission now. So, I mean, he's fully got it in him to make the pass. We'll have to see if Donardi's been taking it easy on his tyres so that he can push when he needs to. So yeah, give it, what do we think, 30 minutes?
Well, we're 30 minutes into the race, and we are, well, if you do midway pit stops, they should all start kicking off in sort of 15 minutes time. But with the length of the race, if anyone pitted now, they would be able to fuel to the end of the race, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
So
I think those were to did before when James came to talk with us. I think maybe they changed their strategy to stops. Could be a possibility. I was expecting a more different, or we can still see. We are on 59 minutes to go. We can still see some people going for 2 stops, some for 1. I wonder if Danardi is going to really try a no stop, because Da Silva is really close to get into him.
Do you think, Jose, is that why Da Silva is catching Danardi?
Also, maybe the setup, maybe hindering Danardi right now and Ben, but maybe both of them are trying to save some fuel, some tires. Maybe Da Silva has a more studied strategy and knows he has a car to attack, so he's more comfortable with the tire wear and the fuel. I think Da Silva may do just 1 stop.
Well, I would be very surprised if any of them did 2 stop at the front end, but here's a theory for you. Is this why Chicken Paxo hasn't got the pace? Because he's the one that is actually 1 stopping.
Well, he's
no
just gone
stopping,
into the
sorry.
pits now. No, so he's just gone into the pits now, so I have a feeling his commentator's curse again.
Right.
I
I'm
think he strongly
retiring.
retires.
That's
I
it.
think he
I'm
strongly
out.
retires.
I've gone.
No. I was speaking about this a few minutes ago, because pre-race there was some bantering on the set when I said, please Da Silva, if you get on time to race, beat Ben. And I don't know if I feel the fire. If I feel the fire, if he got motivated by it. So yeah, I may be a bit responsible for Da Silva being attacking so much.
Well, attacking so much at the moment is Rusty TJ, who is just diving down the inside at the first corner. He has just slid down. No! And they've collided.
Too much. Yeah.
Rusty TJ had dived down the inside, and Vortex. I don't think it was deliberate in any way, shape or form. I just think they were just ended up on the same bit of tarmac. So hopefully both haven't got too much damage. But the one that is going to gain from that is Yorkshire Mika in the orange Bentley there. He is catching up with Rusty TJ. So if Rusty is carrying any damage...
He can make the move soon. Alex has just got a drive-through, which is unfortunate. He's not had a good race this race, has he?
Isn't that his second drive-through?
Good question. Not too sure. I know Randy's had a stop and go.
It's his second. It's his second drive-through.
Oh, thanks, Jose. Yep. So he's having a night of not keeping within the limits, and the other one not keeping within the limits. There was Yorkshire Mika, who got caught out by the second chicane of doom and ended up in the tyre wall. So he is now.
It looked like he didn't break at all there. I'm not too sure what happened.
And Mike TG, I see, has gone to the pits. And interesting, Chicken Paxo went to the pits, and this shows how competitive things are here. He's come out in 11th place.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you how close this field actually is. I mean, I know it looks like they're split up and there's quite a lot of time in between each one, but after a pit stop, you don't know where you're going to come out.
I'm just having a quick look at YouTube. A couple of new comments there. Vicente, he's obviously a Yorkshire Mika fan, so he's saying, come on, Yorkshire Mika. And
is that
Cannon,
teammate, do we think?
possibly. And Dave Cannon says good evening all as well. Dave, one of our regular watchers. Oh, we've got a bit of a selection of pit stops going now. Vortex, interestingly, has gone for the pits as well. So do we think these are their one and only pit stops and they're getting them out of the way early and then running to the end?
This is interesting because we're a third of the race in and they're already diving into the pits. So this would suggest if they're doing two even pit stops that they'll be every half hour. But it could be that people have learned their lesson, reduced the pressures in their tyres, and then they're going to come out for a full hour stint. I'm not too sure.
Well, the other thing I've just noted watching as the cameraman catches up again, I suppose we ought to remind everybody what Donardi looks like because he's working his way around there. Interesting, it looks like, I think in the background from Donardi there is Chicken Paxo, who's come out basically a lap behind. But Donardi seems to have stabilised the gap between himself and De Silva, and it seems to have stuck at around about 10 seconds. So after De Silva got a little bit closer, it does seem to have stabilised. So hopefully things might tighten up as the race goes on.
So do we think that's Donardi pulling up his socks, or De Silva having to slow down due to tyre wear and fuel? What do we think?
I think we'll pass that question over to our Portuguese representative.
I think probably due to strategy. Unfortunately, it would be good if we could see the tire wear and the fuel. Unfortunately, we can't. But yeah, sometimes you need to let go a bit of steam, save a bit of fuel, save a bit of the tires.
Yeah.
Had a moment there.
Yeah, he's had a couple of moments, and he's actually let Chicken Paxo by. So Chicken Paxo, I'm guessing on fresh tyres, is starting to run a much quicker pace than what Donardi is.
I think it's happening that what I've said at the beginning, that this was not so much a problem with fuel, it was much more a problem with the tires. I think that's the case, and I think Donardi might have to pit because of the tires. The car doesn't seem to grip as well as it was before.
I don't want to pull across you guys, but you maybe need to have a word with your teammate Mike, because he's just had a stop-go penalty.
Oh God!
Oh no! Your team's not doing well tonight, Jose.
No.
It's a bit like McLaren were on Sunday. Just park it up and go home.
I wouldn't say park it and go home because I mean you guys saw me driving. I don't give up no matter what happens, and this is what my race on a bad day usually is, like the last one was. I mean, I just hope he gets his head up, keep driving, because there's a lot that can happen. But let's not deny, the problem with these penalties on this track is a drive-through costs you a lot of time on this one. Like, it can really hurt you.
Not quite as bad as Spa, though, is it, Jose?
No, definitely not as bad as Spa.
No.
And sorry to cut across you guys, but De Silva, while we were chatting away there, he's just done his pit stop. So he's just rolling out of the pit. So this must be strategic in some way. We're not quite halfway. So obviously he's decided to go for the pits, and interestingly, he's come out in fifth, whereas Chicken Paxo, who he'd overtaken for second place, he's still down in eighth. So he's got quite a big gap between himself and the other drivers behind him.
Yeah, for sure. He's also, I think he's just come out in front of Donardi as well, just Silver. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when Donardi pits, as to where he comes out, because he's been held up with traffic over that last lap.
Yeah, but I'm just looking down, a quick look at what's happening with pit stops. It was interesting. Obviously, Mike's got his stop and go, and who's that? DB Kung looks like he's in trouble there. Actually, he looks like he's had. I really must speak to the Association of Belgian Cameramen, because they are appalling here at Zolder. But it looks like DB Kung has taken an almighty bite out of a wall somewhere, and the remains of his Mercedes are working its way back to the pit, so he's going to be in there for a little while. So that's going to be quite expensive.
That's going to be a 3 minute pit stop at least, we think.
Well, and that's Alex Powell. I think he, after those two drive-throughs, has parked it in the pits at the moment, and Mike has got this stop and go 30 seconds in the pits. But Jose's teammate, is completely right. He is coming out, so he's in front of Randy Flangepans. But Alex Powell is going to get overtaken by Randy. So we've got a couple that are in the pits, and of course we've got DB Kung in there, so he's going to drop back. So you've got to be in it to win it, and obviously these drivers with long pit stops and damage, it's dropping them down the order rapidly. So just whizzing up to the front, I know it's round pit stops, but Rusty GT, I notice, has quietly worked his way up to third place there in the Mercedes. It looks like it's got a bit of war damage on the front. And interestingly, another driver's been a little bit quiet this evening. We haven't given a lot of screen time to Johnny Waffle. He's up to fourth at the moment.
So these two drivers, have they taken their pit stops?
No, not as yet, no. So
it's difficult to tell who has and who hasn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, the little green boxes by the drivers, normally they have to turn from orange to green, so we know that the drivers have pitted. But in this case, if the drivers wanted to try and stretch it out and go the whole length of the race, they can do without penalty.
Yeah, it's not mandatory, is it?
No. So, and at the moment, Rusty TJ, who's had a few little battles, he's up there in fifth. But I think he's in the crosshairs of a certain De Silva, who is, as we know, a man on the mission, who's currently sixth, and I think very soon he is going to be fifth. He's a quicker driver, and he's got fresh tyres. And I don't want to be the one to give bad news, but I think Mike 65's got another penalty, has he?
Yeah, it looks like he's got it for speeding in the pit lane again, I think. I just saw it as I switched over to Donardi that, it's popped up. I think that's catching out a few people today, with driving out of the pit lane's longer than people expect. So I think have your pit limiter on so you're pretty much right at the end and then let go. Yorkshire Mick has just gone off for the first chicane.
Oh, and the other thing is De Silva has just launched it down the inside of Rusty TJ at the last sort of right-hand corner and got that position. So he's up to fifth and Rusty TJ down to sixth. But just on that point, Rusty TJ has gone into the pits, and so has Groot. Groot has followed him. They're all pulling the trigger at 45 minutes, which is half race distance, because we've got a 90-minute race for you this evening. So we've got just 46 minutes and a few seconds remaining. So a few drivers going into pits. I think Vortex has done his pit stop, so I think we're going to see him jump up the order. And also Chris V Dub, who was right towards the back, but I think he will need to pit again because he pitted about lap 3 or 4, didn't he?
He was a very early pit, and I think that was just purely for damage. So
look who else is in the pit at the top of the pole.
Yeah, Donardi's finally come in, so this is definitely a one-stop given that it's half race distance. I wonder whether Ben and Donardi have sort of discussed different strategies as to why Ben come in early. Maybe he's putting in a longer final stint. We'll have to see within the next 15 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, well, maybe. Was he trying to change of setup and decided to go in early, take the advantage of the setup for longer, but ignored the tyre wear and so on?
Possibly.
Because obviously he's going to have more tyre wear because he's going to be on those tyres for longer, isn't he?
Yeah, but it could be that he's misjudged the pressures, or he's doing a setup change. It's hard to tell. We'll ask him if he jumps in for a driver interview.
Okay, so 65 has. Oh, that's all right, Jose. Don't panic. Mike hadn't picked up another penalty. He is now clear of penalties. So, and he is still in 14th, so he's doing all right.
I'm here thinking if I think the Silver might also do a one pit stop. The question is the extra time on track on the second part of the race, what consequence it will have on the tires. Not so much the fuel, but on the tires. I think Tanardi is going to pit where I would, or better say where I was thinking about pitting, was around 45 minutes. Quite to distribute the load equally. I think between these two, I don't think Chicken Patso will do a one stop. I think he will stop again, so he might be a bit of that fight. Rusty is now on the pits. Banana Man, as soon as he stops, probably will have Danardi and the Silva 1-2 again.
I agree, but interestingly, De Silva has got the gap down to Danardi to less than 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So that was 12 seconds earlier, so he is through various ways getting closer.
Yeah, so the thing is though, De Silva's now eating through his tyres, whereas Donardi is almost on a new, fresh set. In terms of tyre degradation, Jose, well, what was the... right, let me redo my question. In terms of tyre degradation, was it a... did you notice that you slowly lost time? Or was it you got to a point and then you lost all tyre completely?
I started to need to have much more careful on how much pressure I was putting on the accelerator out of the slow corners. That time, that's when Chicken Patsu was being quite slow off the slow corners. That's the kind of thing that I started to feel. One thing that we need to remind here is the brake ducts that control how fast you can warm the tires. That can have some influence on this case as well.
So what setting would you go for this track? So you've got a lot of long straights,
yeah.
but then you've also got a lot of hard braking zones. So would you say a level 2? Is that too much in terms of brake ducts?
I don't think it is. Level 2, I don't think it is. But that's the thing. Each one of them tested this. The McLaren is also a bit different than the Aston. One is front, the engine is in the front. The McLaren has the mid-engine layout. These small details can make a lot of difference in a race like this. Because until now, we did basically sprint races. This is not a sprint race. This is a race where you really need to save the tires and try to save some fuel. But mainly the tires, because if you can't power out of a corner as fast as you could before, you are going to bleed time there.
So, I think my next question is, given that De Silva and Chicken Paxo were pretty much battling for, I'd say, a good 20 minutes, half hour. Do we think that could be potentially the reason why Ben's had to come in, or Chicken Paxo, should I say, has had to come in early, given that he's pretty much roasted his tyres at that point, having to constantly defend, whereas Donardi has been out in front in cool air, therefore can save fuel, save his tyres for a longer stint, so he can just do a one-stop.
I think doing 1 hour consecutively would be very hard. Not impossible, but very hard. What you said also explains why Donardi suddenly started to have the same problem. Because Donardi had also to start defending from De Silva.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
But just to remind everybody, I'm still here.
But let's check one thing.
Sorry,
Banana Man hasn't pitted yet.
And thank you, Jose, because I was just going to say that, and he's just gone in the
just
pit.
jumped in. He's literally just jumped in.
Okay.
So yeah, he's literally just jumped in the pit, and I was just going to come up with a question that, because it's gone over half distance, was he trying to go the whole way, and maybe he was sort of doing his pace accordingly, but just as I was about to say it, Banana Man went straight into the pit, so that was that. And coming across the line to lead, I think possibly his first race for Race Club UK is Rusty GT.
Yeah, I think we need to give a clap to that, because he's done really well, I think. Has he? He's not pitted yet, has he?
No, not yet. No.
No.
No, but he's put himself in a fairly decent position that when he does pit, he shouldn't be too far down the pecking order. What I'm interested in now is where Donardi is, because I think he is going to overtake. He is going to overtake Banana Man, unfortunately.
While Banana Man's in the pits?
Yeah, for sure, because I think he's just... Oh no, is he? Was Donardi
Yes.
a lap down?
No, I
Or
think
is it
it's
'cause
just,
they've
it's
not
just,
crossed?
it's the timing screens catching up.
Yeah. It's thrown us all out. There we go.
Because Banana Man has come out, and it is showing him at the moment between De Silva and Donardi, but no, he's not. So Banana Man is there, but Banana Man is literally a hair's breadth in front of Chicken Paxo. So Chicken Paxo's tyres are up to temperature, but Banana Man's are a little bit fresher. So I think we're going to have a little bit of a battle here between these two guys, because that's Banana Man there in the Mercedes in front, Chicken Paxo just behind him in the dare I say greener McLaren, and they're just coming up onto Marge, who's currently running in 9th place. Had a fairly quiet race, Marge, but still up there in the top 10. So I think this is going to be quite a little battle here between these two.
Yeah, Banana Man is going to have to really, come out of the gate swinging he needs to keep Ben behind him, otherwise Ben's just going to run away.
And I noticed Banana Man there parked his car right in the middle of the road, and he's doing something again. Chicken Paxo was looking down the inside there at last chicane. I think that was going to end up with a case of sort of optimism over adhesion.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe something into this first corner.
I think if they're going to make any, if he's going to make a move, it'll be these next couple of corners. So he'll try and do a cutback here, around this corner, I would have thought, so he'll go deeper in. Oh, interestingly, he hasn't. Okay, it looks like Banana Man's tyres have come up to temperature now, because he doesn't seem to be struggling at all, does he?
Yeah, it was that first lap where Chicken Paxo probably needed to strike, and after one circulation of this older track, those tyres of Banana Man's are probably up to temperature.
Yeah, definitely.
So Chicken Paxo got a bit airborne there over those sausage curbs.
Yeah, he's starting to drive with aggression now, just to try and get past.
And interestingly, the cars behind Marge and I think that's DB Kun, they are not dropping off from this battle, so they've certainly still got a turn of pace, those guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think about it, most of these guys are all within a couple of seconds of each other. So it's a really tight grid. I think the reason we're seeing a lot of them split up and a lot of people on different laps is purely damage.
And just a quick shout, Rusty has gone for the pits. He's had his couple of laps in the lead, so that should put Donardi back up into the lead and to Silver second, and there's still that fairly static 8.5 second gap, and then we're back to Banana Man by about 13 seconds, but he's pulled out 0.7 of a second now on Chicken Paxo, so it looks like Chicken Paxo's opportunity there maybe has just slipped away. But the interesting thing is to see where Rusty GT comes out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's starting to come out now, isn't he? Sorry, Jose.
I think this fight might be costly for Chicken Pat. I don't think it's helping him on what I thought could be his plan of okay, do one stop and go 1 hour continuous without pitting again. Chicken is starting to overdrive a bit, that's why he gained air. He's having to have a much more offensive driving. I don't know until which point he's not going to have to pit again because of this and lose even more time to Da Silva. I think the main fight at the front will be only two. Da Silva and Bernardi, I think, will fight until the end of the race.
And that fight is getting closer because Silva's got the gap down to under 8 seconds, so I was guessing those two guys must be absolutely flat out from now to the end of the race, which is just over 32 minutes.
Yeah, Donardi's going to have to pull his socks up to make sure that he can keep hold of that comfortable gap. Now, there are two ways he can do this. He can calm himself down now and let Da Silva rinse his tyres and his fuel, and then ban him when he's up against him, or he can try and go flat out now and just keep the gap at sort of a comfortable sort of 5 seconds plus. So we'll give it a few laps to see how this gap looks after that.
Okay, I think what we might do, while we've got what I think is a fairly calm bit of the race, and that's usually a commentator's curse, we'll just run through each driver from the top to the bottom and just see how things have gone for them, just to make sure everybody gets their little bit of airtime. So Donardi, he came under a little bit of pressure at the start from Chicken Paxo, but managed to get out in front. He's completed his pit stop, so we expect him to go to the end. Da Silva had to fight his way up from, I think, third at the start, maybe fourth. I think it may have even been fourth, mightn't it?
It was either third or fourth. He made some really good moves at the beginning.
Yeah, because he had to get by Banana Man, and then he had to get by Chicken Paxo. So
indeed, yeah.
He's got his way up, and he's just chipping away at that lead of Donardi, but it's not coming down by massive chunks, and we're literally just coming down to 30 minutes, so we've got just 1/3 of this 90-minute race remaining. And then in third we've got Banana Man, who was on the second row, got overtaken by De Silva fairly early on, and then has caught and overtaken Chicken Paxo and has just fended him off after the pit stop. And Chicken Paxo himself, front row start, we were expecting a lot for him. We spoke to him before the start, and I think we expected him to be up a bit further, didn't we, guys?
Definitely, I was expecting him and Denali to be fighting constantly, but that battle with De Silva early on, I think, has really cost him this race.
Yeah, so it's just not gone his way. But one who has gone his way, who I'm not quite sure where he qualified, but Rusty GT is running there in 5th, and it seems a fairly solid spot at the moment. He's not under attack from in front and behind, so really just needs to keep it on the island and not rattle it into the barriers, and he should be good for a very solid top 5 finish there.
Yeah, he should be really proud of himself today, because he's been pretty much on pace, hasn't he?
He has, yes. Very much so. And you look at there's one or two guys in that top pack that we would have expected to be further up that we'll come and talk about in a minute, who've had a few little adventures, and he's certainly taken advantage of that. So, as the old phrase goes, to finish first you have to finish.
Indeed. Just to come back to where Rusty GT qualified, he actually qualified 9th, so he's done really well.
He has, yeah, he has. And in 6th, Johnny, is a new driver to us here at Race Club UK, is Johnny Waffle in the Bentley there, and he has got a very strong position there at 6th. I believe he has pitted, and he's running there 6th at the moment. And again, he is similar to Rusty GT. He's got nobody really giving him too much pressure at the moment, so he should be on for a solid 6th, assuming he doesn't have to pit, and he just keeps it between the curbs.
Yeah, he's got a solid platform on that with that Bentley. So, like I say, just keep his race pace going. Yeah, it should be fun.
And then Vortex, who had a bit of a rear end love tap, if I'm allowed to say that, from Chris V Dub earlier on in the race, but he recovered from that fairly quickly and has had a few good wheel-to-wheel battles, has Vortex. That's say Jordan, who I know from some other race series in the past. Oh, and we believe I have a driver that Dan has got into the commentary box for a chat.
Yeah, all right, Randy, how you doing? I see you're in the pits again.
Yeah, I've ducked out. I'm parked up now for duration. It's the pedal keeps going wrong, and there's a risk that I'm going to take someone's race away from them, and I don't want to do that. I'm so far behind lap-wise. It's just not fair. If I have brakes that don't work, I end up rear-ending someone after they've lapped me. So
yeah, sure. It's really unfortunate to see you go.
Well, yeah, for tonight. I'm actually really happy with the pedal. So it's a home machined. It's a home machine pedal, so I've made it all myself out of aluminium. It's just not quite working seamlessly at the moment.
Well, just needs a few tweaks.
Yeah, there's something wrong in the coding that I've written and it keeps sort of locking up and then not working. So I'll get to the bottom of it, but from a field point of view, it's much better, and I'm about a second and a half up on each lap. So it's got promise, but it just needs to work consistently. But time will tell. Yeah,
I've always been a big fan of the load cells myself. Actually, it just gives you a lot more range. As weird as that sounds, rather than a mechanical pedal, having to be able to do it via pressure, you can use muscle memory to brake, which is is definitely the way to go, rather than a lever style pedal. It's good to hear from you.
Well, what I was going to say, Randy, you happy to stay with us for the last 25 minutes?
I'm following Dan at the moment on my screen while I'm parked up, and he looks like he's driving a very smooth race. So we'll see what De Silva has behind. There's a bit of a gap for him at the moment, isn't there? He's about 10-11 seconds behind by the look.
Yeah, he's dropped off a lot. I think De Silva's in traffic, and that's really causing him to lose seconds.
Because De Silva was about 8.5 behind a couple of laps ago, and that gap has stretched out. Well spotted there, Randy. Has stretched out to nearly 12 seconds. So that warpath that De Silva was on seems to have fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah, the tyres can get away from you here quite quickly when you're pushing, and it's one of those things where 5 or 6 laps of calmness are actually a lot quicker than 5 or 6 pushing laps by the time you've done your tyres, and it's a fairly long stint. You certainly feel it by the end of a stint here on the tyres. You've got a lighter fuel load, and you should be getting quicker, but you get progressively further and further away from the apexes and just get slower and slower. And I wonder, how early did he pit? Did De Silva pit? Is he on fresh tyres now, or is it?
So he's on fresher tyres than Donardi. He pitted rather late.
Yeah, so you'd expect for him to be on the charge with 25 minutes to go. Too worried about that, so maybe a case of pushing too hard.
Quick question for you. Quick question for you. What was your strategy going in? Were you always a one-stop?
Yes, entirely.
You know, of course. The strategy was a one-stop, yeah? It's
too far to push to do as a non-stop away from the not stopping. You have to go so easy on fuel, and your tyres probably wouldn't last the night. And if you keep away, you'd be off basically by about 5 or 6 minutes of that. Very quickly that adds up to the so just convert it to try and do the same and get around without having to stop.
Sure.
Yeah, always yeah, you lose because of the pit speed limit. With a tyre change of 30 seconds, to stop twice, you can do the rest of the car and carry less fuel around with you. It's just one time. I mean, that's not the damages though, so a lot
no, of course.
With damage, a lot of track limits, penalties, full slowed them down, so actually, if you're driving carefully hard, the 2-stop would still have been quicker than some of the guys out there, myself included. But it should be a one-stopper if there's no incident. But with a packed field, 18 cars starting, I think there's still 16 charging round at the moment, 15 charging round at the moment. You're going to get some incidents, especially, unfortunately, sort of first and second lap whilst the field settles itself down.
Yeah.
That really throws around. Especially if you set yourself up so you end up in the pits and fuel to the brim, because you've not changed those settings on the fly quick enough. So I was doing every lap with a full tank of petrol basically. It does take add a good second or so onto each lap time, which over the course of 90 minutes adds up if you get that strategy wrong.
Oh, definitely. So with a one-stop strategy, now you could go for an even split, or you could do a longer first stint with a shorter second stint. Were you always straight down the middle?
Yeah, straight down the middle. I've got enough fuel to go a little bit longer. I don't find with the last sort of 10 or 15 litres out of the tank I get a lot quicker. So I give myself quite a good margin to make sure that I will, I've got the luxury of picking when I'm gonna pit. So I'm not, running on fumes towards the end of the stint. But yeah, straight down the middle, mostly for tyres. I seem to shred tyres quite quickly, and others do much longer stints on tyres without having the understeer problems that I get.
Yeah, sure. So
I think that's driving style. Unfortunately, I've not quite got feathering in the steering right yet. I've not quite got it so that I'm not on the edge most of the time. And you'll see the faster guys going around, they don't look like they're driving harder than me. They're just driving more precisely, actually driving a little bit slower in places, but overall putting in much quicker lap times because it's just much more precise, much less scrubbing of the tyres, and by the end of their stint, they're not much slower than they were when their tyres were fresh at the start. And you know, I can't replicate that yet.
I was just about to say that we've just been, while you two guys were chatting there, I've been doing some onboard with De Silva, and I was just watching, seeing how precise he was, you know, at every corner, and I was just about to make that comment there, and he ran wide.
I'm exactly the same, and I see him run that corner wide, and I was thinking, oh, they're maybe not as precise as what you think they are.
Yeah, and actually he's dropping away from Donardi by sort of measurable amounts now. The gap is nearly twice what it was about sort of, I don't know, 5 or 10 laps ago.
Yeah,
about that, what I was going to say, the difference of tires between Donardi and De Silva is around 10 minutes.
And who pitted first, Jose?
De Silva.
Ah, okay.
De Silva pitted has older tires than Donardi, and I think right now, it's the major advantage. Although on camera you see De Silva being a bit careful with the throttle, it is not having to be extremely careful like Chicken was. He has the car controlled, except for exceptions, as you said, but that, like James said, that might be right now De Silva's biggest problems, because he has older tires, he's bleeding time, while Donardi maybe has better tires and is causing this difference between both.
Well, is the one that could come into play here then Banana Man, because he pitted quite late, didn't he? I think he pitted with about 38 minutes to go, and he is in third place behind De Silva, who we're watching at the moment. And I've noticed that gap does seem to be coming down, and Banana Man's got it down to just under 8 seconds. So maybe in the remaining 18 minutes, Banana Man can do something about De Silva for that second stop of the podium.
Yeah, it's. Do you know what? I did notice that. I got him and De Silva confused earlier when I thought he had pitted later, and it was Banana Man that pitted on the sort of 38-minute mark, wasn't it? So he pitted very, very late, and it might actually pay dividends for him. So fingers crossed, within the next 5-10 minutes, we might actually see a battle start to form.
Well, somebody who's just had a bit of bad news is Vortex, because he's just got a drive-through. I would imagine
looks like
that's
he's serving it straight away.
Yeah, track limits. So he may not get too much pain out of that, because we know he's got good pace, and he's got Rusty about 12 seconds behind, and Marge about 30 seconds behind. So he might. I don't know what you lose on a drive-through, but he might come out only having lost one space. So I will just hop down to Marge, who is just coming out of
He's going to lose it to Marge, but isn't Marge a couple of laps down?
No, I don't think so. Marge has been going quite well. So they are going to come out remarkably close, actually, looking at it. I think Marge is just coming by the end of the pit lane. Actually, they're side by side. Marge looking to try and go around the outside, but Vortex covers him off, goes up the inside, and hangs on there to 8th place. So that drive-through only cost Vortex one position there. So he's got a bit of an arse to catch Rusty up in front of him, but that was not too painful for a drive-through there, was it?
No, but it has now brought him into contention with another driver who's right on his gearbox, so you could see him pulling away from Rusty TJ rather than gaining on him.
Well, I think because Vortex is behind Rusty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to pull up onto him. He's probably going to lose time because he's got Marge behind him, so he's going to have to defend.
Yeah, but I think Vortex, we're seeing he's actually got quite good pace, and I know where I commentated on him before was GT Sport, but he has got good pace because he's had one or two. Yeah, obviously he's had that drive through, and he had that coming together with Chris V Dub earlier on, which I'm sure James Randy will be watching in the replay later on, which has obviously cost him time. So I think he is able to maybe punch a little bit higher up the grid than that.
Well, we got 15 minutes left, and he's 18 seconds behind. So let's try and keep an eye on him. What I do want to say is we've got Banana Man, who's now down 7 seconds on to Silver. So I'm not sure whether that's going to become a battle or not.
I think it's a big ask. I'll tell you what we could do is go back to our quick rundown of the grid, because something happened, didn't it? And we lost our way on that one. I can't remember who we got to. I think, well, I've just chatted about Vortex, haven't I? So, and we're on with Marge, who bit of a unique choice there in the Honda, but he's inside the top 10 there. So it's doing. Oh, commentator's curses. He's just gone across the grass at Villeneuve.
Yeah, so he's down in 9th, qualified 16th. Now, is that a case of, you know, he's kept it clean, he's kept it out of the wall, therefore hasn't had to pit a lot. He's not really had a lot of screen time today, so it would suggest he's not been in a lot of battles other than right at the beginning.
Yeah, it was all a bit busy at the beginning, wasn't it? We didn't know quite where to look because there was so much going on. Yeah, that does seem to be the strategy that's worked for him today, is just keep his nose clean and keep trundling round.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit behind him is Groot in the Audi. He's had a few little battles. I think particularly I remember with Rusty TJ, and I think with Vortex. So he's been in amongst it, but he is within the top 10. So he's hanging in there all right, and I think he's got a fair gap behind him to 11th place, who is Chris V Dub. I believe he's Welsh, isn't he?
Yes, indeed. Just out of note, Banana Man's taken a second and a half out of the Silver that lap.
Ah, well spotted, Randy.
Just now. So it looks like 12 minutes, 30 minutes to go plus the extra lap. We might just see a bit of a final couple of laps showdown. And I'm just on board with Banana Man now, and he can see in the distance the Silver, which I'm sure will be spurring him on because he can see himself reeling him in. So fingers crossed we might get a little bit of podium action shortly.
Well, if you're still on board with Banana Man there, Randy, do you want to talk us round the circuit? Because I've brought that view up on screen. So we're just going round the last right-hander before we come up to the Murder Chicane.
Yeah, so this should make Merck break really late for us. So he's a good 30-40 yards further along than I have to break to get around that. Which I think where he's making his time, I think the apparent way around here. This is a difficult chicane now to get round, keeping within track limits, but keeping the speed up. You just want to nudge the wheels going round here, but you get it slightly wrong, and it's costing yourself, at least a second coming down now into the corner here. Again, he's braking 30 yards later than I have now. I just don't understand how they're so well on the road. So just bringing them around the final set of S's there. He's actually pulled out through the second one, Banana Man after that, so maybe you see what's going on. He's up in his game to the Silver. Denardi's still putting away 18 seconds now between Denardi and the Silver.
Yeah, I suspect that De Silva's actually starting to take it easy. Realised he's got a comfortable gap, doesn't want to push too hard. Has found the Banana Man, he's actually catching him at quite a rate of knots, and has decided actually I need to push here because he is going to catch me. So that's what I think's happened.
Randy, do you think that braking difference is that down to the car, or do you think that's down to his setup?
I think it's car, because I had the same issues with Rusty GT at the previous track. He could just outbrake me by such a large margin. He was just straight past me basically. Some of it could be driver. I mean, I could be terrible on the brakes, but it does seem like the Mercedes is just so strong on the brakes. Monza particularly, down towards the first chicane there, that you just couldn't slow down the car down anywhere near as quickly as the Mercedes could. They'd outbrake you each time. So that was almost impossible to defend. I think it was DB Kung. You had myself and him on screen, and it was nearly impossible for me to defend against him. I managed to hold him off for about a lap, but with him outbraking me like that, it seems to be a Merc trait.
Well, you've got to remember that that's got a big old engine at the front, so it's as you're braking, your weight is shifting forward, so you've got a lot of weight already on those front brakes, whereas the McLaren is rear-engined, so that could be mechanically why that's why they're able to brake better than you can.
Yeah, good point. Jose, I've got a little bit of bad news. Your teammate Mike65 is back in the pits.
Yeah, that's not good, but like I said, heads up, keep going. I mean, yeah, it's 10 minutes. There's not much you can do, but just to drive it home.
That's it. Just completing our rundown of the drivers, and the commentator Curse is strong, because I've just hopped onto, I think, our Irish driver, Ricardo Hall, who is our only driver in the Nissan, who was taking the agricultural route around the right-hander there, but he's not had the best feelings. I think he dived to the pits fairly early on, presumably for some repairs, because he's one of the drivers in the last couple of races we have seen a little bit further up the grid, I believe, Dan.
Yeah, it's actually quite surprising that he's this far back, so whether that first incident has caused him some drama. I mean, he qualified 7th, so to be where he is a bit of a shock. I thought he'd been, fighting for a podium.
Yeah, I think he got involved in some of those early scuffles and had to go for the pits, and unfortunately that cost him a lot of time. And another driver's had similar problems. I think he's Yorkshire Micker. I did see him in the wall at one point. So we'd normally expect him to be in and around the probably the lower parts of the top 10, because he's generally a fairly consistent driver, isn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of yo-yoed this race. He's been further down than this, I'm sure. I've worked his way up to sort of, I'm pretty sure, 9th at one point. And he's fallen right back to 13th again. So maybe he's had a few more offs than we've seen.
And another driver we usually expect to see up the sharp ends, DB Kung, and commentator's Curse is strong again. You can't make it up. Either these drivers are going off all the time and I'm just not seeing it, or they only fall off when I actually click onto their view.
So I think he's actually watching the stream because he has commentated, so it might be a case of he sees his car on there and gets a bit distracted with his fantastic livery, and just drives off.
It's not a good idea. Do the same thing as me. Watch the stream after the race. During the race, focus on the race. And now I started to get why suddenly my car just decided to spin all the way. It's because Trevor changes the view to my car and then I spun.
Oh,
I knew
it would be my fault. And okay, Jose, for the last running driver, I think it's Mike65. So I think as he's your teammate, you need to summarise his race for us.
I mean, it's a bit unfortunate. Couple of bad lucks. The Porsche also is not easy car for someone who's starting. Actually, the easy car is the car on first and second, the McLaren. But apparently the Nissan also a good choice, Bentley a good choice. The Porsche has that thing that the rear can get loose a bit too much, and I guess it's also the difference of what happens when you hit the curb, because on Gran Turismo the curbs do nothing. Here they can do a lot, as we've seen plenty today. But that's the thing. You have good days. You have good races. You have races that everything just goes south. You just have to keep your head up, and well, I did my best. Nothing I could do.
Yeah. A couple of things. I think we've got to respect any driver that, despite having any problems, even being at the back of the grid a few laps down, will carry on. So maximum respect for staying in it, because it's always worth just carrying on to the end of the race. Use it as practice, really.
Yeah.
And the other thing is more of a question, actually. The mapping for the Porsche. Now, at one point, I remember it distinctly being map 8 was the most aggressive fuel mapping. Is that still the case with the Porsche, or have they changed it? Because everyone else's was map 1 was your most aggressive, and then it went down progressively. And I'm pretty sure the Porsche was the other way round.
I don't have knowledge to answer that. Maybe someone on the comments more used to the Porsche can say. I tried it. I tried the Porsche, and I found it not exactly the car is fast. If you manage to keep it stable and to keep it out of trouble, the car is fast. Completely, but I can't say about endurance, how much fuel, or maybe someone in the comments that has more that experience. But as we can look, the 3 Porsches, well, they are spread out, but they are not on top, so maybe that can also be a factor. The McLaren is being McLaren, which, in my opinion, the most dominant car right now concerning BOP.
The McLaren. Well, when we first started this, the McLaren wasn't actually a very popular choice. But over the years, I think more people have got to grips with the setups for it, and have found it actually quite a usable car. After they've got to grips with it, the first car that people were typically choosing was actually the Bentley, given that it's quite a big car, a lot of power, very stable, front-engined, rear-wheel drive car. I think it's rear-wheel. It might actually be all-wheel drive. I'll need to check that. But
it's rear-wheel. Yeah, and one thing particularly interesting, it's not heavy. It's actually a very light car. It's very big but very light. So it's not like a big thing dragging itself on the track. No, it's a very light car, surprisingly, concerning its size.
Is that compared to the base model or the other cars on the track? Because
the other cars on the track. It's also sorry.
No. I was going to say, I'm a bit shocked that it's lighter than the cars like the Porsche and the McLarens, for example, as well as the Mercedes, actually, because the Mercedes, I think, is a pretty light car.
It's around the weight of those. Like, it's not... When you look at it, it looks like it would weight 1.2 tons, 1.3, around that. No, it's actually on pace with the weight of the other cars.
Interesting.
On this type of threats, yeah, that dimension can be useful if you want to defend. Actually, I don't think we've seen a lot of it, but it can occupy a lot of the road. And if you are behind one, you are kinda struggling a bit. How am I going to pass him? Because it's so big.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a bit of a
sorry to
bug,
cut
isn't it?
across everyone, but we are on the final lap here, and Donardi is just working his way up towards the final chicane. Fairly much been, on his own once he got that breathing space ahead of initially Chicken Paxo, and comes across the finishing line with nearly 20 seconds over De Silva in second place. Now, I think, who was that? I think that was Yorkshire Mika being a little bit crafty, letting himself being lapped by Donardi, so he didn't have to complete another lap. And coming up to the line is De Silva, and that gap to third place Banana Man got down to just a couple of seconds. So,
Yeah.
a few more laps might have made a difference there.
Well done to Banana Man for being able to, drop the gap that much, because it was clear De Silva was starting to push towards the end.
So, Chicken Paxo just coming to the line, fourth place off the podium, which is quite a surprise actually. And already Rusty GT and Johnny Waffle have crossed the line because they were just been lapped by Donardi. So I'm just trying to see who's coming across next. That is Rusty TJ.
Rusty TJ, sorry.
So yeah, he did get ahead of Vortex. Oh yes, because Vortex had to serve that drive-through, didn't he? So
Yeah,
you were
he did,
completely right there, Dan. He didn't manage to. Vortex didn't manage to catch up, but he did well there because he still finished 8th overall. So I think that is everybody has now crossed the line. So are we expecting anybody to come and join us, do you believe, Dan?
I suspect we'll probably get Ben come in, and I think it's an open invite to anyone who is actually, in the race. If you want to, feel free to come across, and we'll ask you a few questions.
Well, I've just had a couple of comments in on YouTube. George Marge has said it was a hard one, but says well done to everyone. And Yorkshire Mika, well, as we did comment on him, wouldn't like to say that we're right. That did not go to plan. Well, I think we worked that one up. It all went, I will rephrase that one, a bit wrong after pit stop. Didn't give me any PSI, and then he got a puncture. He said, glad that one's over. So, yeah, he did have a little bit of extra stops. And I think, Randy has left us. So thank you, Randy, for your contribution. That is appreciated. But I believe you have someone else there, Dan.
Yep, I think it's Ben. I'm going to check before I just suddenly say who it is. Yep, it is. It's Ben. How are you, Ben?
Feeling like Toots is probably the best way to describe it.
Right,
that was hard.
So, problems initially. I'm guessing the battling early on took a lot out of your tyres.
No. This race, when we set it up on the service, should have been at 7 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock at night.
Oh, over pressure.
So I was running around with 28.7 PSI
Oh,
on all my tyres. So I came into the pits early to try and get the tyres, and then those tyres didn't get up to pressure, so it's carnage.
I noticed that the track actually devolved during the race and went from a sort of a 31 track temperature down to it's now 26, so a lot cooler.
So planning for it to be later in the evening, it was going to be a lot cooler.
Who's responsible for the server, Chicken Paxo?
Well, the server's programmed right. I don't know if it's just a glitch in the system. So I know we had a glitch a couple of seasons ago when even in the shorter races the pit stop window hadn't been turned off, so everyone had to make pit stops in the shorter races.
Ah, right, okay.
So, but it is what it is. Everyone had the same issue, so others dealt with it. Had a great battle with Pedro though. So a great bit side by side through the first three corners. But yeah, that lad's probably quick as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, very much so.
we did catch that action. If you want to watch it on the replay.
Oh, I will do. I will do. I'll watch them all back.
I noticed, Ben, that you did take my advice with sticking around the outside for turn 1 and pressurising into turn 2. Did that go well for you for the rest of the race?
Initially it did until the pressures crept up and up and up, and I thought that's it, that'll do now. And then they just kept on going as that. It was like driving on sheet ice a couple of times. I had no grip in the rear whatsoever, so I could chase down, and then Pedro all over the back of me, and eventually he went. And then same with Banana Man. He went past me as well.
Ah, we got Dan in here as well, I think.
It's George.
Is it George?
We've got a few people joining. I'm going to try and get you one by one. Ben, I just want to say unfortunate race there, but we'll catch up with each other on the next race, I think.
Well, yeah, no worries. If it's an unfortunate race and finish 4th, I'll take that, to be honest. But thank you for you guys again doing the comms again. So I will speak to you when I don't send up my nose completely bugged up. So have a good one.
Okay, Ben, and that
you
was.
You did that through the race, Ben. You did that through the race.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Thank you. Thanks, Dad.
Right, can I jump on with Donardi now, our race winner? Is he here? Hello. He was on mute. Hello.
Hello.
Right, so that was nice and comfortable for you?
It wasn't driving it. It was hard work.
Okay.
It was hard work. The tyres lasted probably about only 40 minutes or so before they started to really go off, so a lot of tyre management at the end of each stint.
Yeah, so did you have the same problem as what Ben did, where his tyres actually went, his tyre pressures were too high up?
My pressures were actually really good. It was just the temperature itself, so the rears were quite hot, and so the time they started to go off.
Okay, well, we didn't see a lot of you this race, because unfortunately you were so far ahead, there was no battles to watch.
That's a shame. I'll try and make it more exciting next time.
Last question from me is, coming off the start line, what was the plan?
Well, I know that the outside line is often the better one at turn 1 for Zolder, so you don't want to hit the guy on the outside, because I've had that happen before. But I know in a few races that we've done here, even in different cars, if you hang it around the outside of turn 2, you can get on the throttle so much easier that you can then carry it all the way around to that turn 3. And in this case, I had just enough of my car ahead of Ben that he had to kind of give up the corner, as it were. So I didn't mind losing out turn 1 as long as I knew I could then position my car well for turn 2.
No, well, fantastic race. Well done again. And we'll catch up with you next time.
It's a pleasure, yeah, thank you.
Well done, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Claire, thank you.
Right, I'm going to go on with our second place now. So, De Silva, you there? Yeah, we can hear you. I'm not too sure if the stream can hear you. I don't know if...
I'll check that. You keep talking for now.
If you can keep talking for the bit. Yeah, I suppose just do some commenting, I guess.
No, I'm afraid we can't hear De Silva.
Right, okay, so we can't hear you, so I'm going to have to... Okay, well, we'll try and catch up with you next time. But I just want to say, good race. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic battle with Ben there. Right. So now on to George. Are you there? All right. How did it go? Yeah. Right. So, I just want to quiz you on your choice of car. What made you go for the Honda? You fancy something different?
No, I'm afraid we can't. Well, no, we can't hear George either, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's really unfortunate.
I think it's the
Right.
second setting in under settings. It's sharing and broadcasts. You just need to clear it on that one as well.
Right, we'll make sure the settings are posted up in the group chat again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that does mean that we're going to have to cut the interview short with you, George. But try and jump on next time because I'd love to quiz you a bit more on your car.
Okay.
Right, I think that's it in terms of drivers for a driver chat.
Okay. Well, what a race! That was 90 minutes that went extremely quickly. At least for me, I didn't have to do much
Yep.
talking. So I think I'll bring a glass of wine next time. That was fantastic. It was great to have you two guys on board. You brought a real insight that I think a lot of people at home would have appreciated. So thank you so
My
much for
pleasure.
coming along.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people might be complaining that they miss your voice, Trevor.
The wife certainly doesn't.
Maybe next time.
So, any quick thoughts on the race from you two guys, and remember the word quick, Jose.
I won't promise, but I hope next race you guys are watching me. Probably I won't be quick, but probably I will. It was a great race. Battles
Well-
all the way the field, definitely interesting to see.
You are welcome back in the commentary box anytime, Desil. Look, I'm watching one thing on screen. Jose, what's your name again? You see, it's not that simple in here.
Yeah. No problem.
Green light,
Thank you.
go.
Any comments from you, Dan?
Not from today. I think I've bored everyone enough today.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone out there to listening to this Race Club UK stream. Just a quick reminder, we are sponsored by Lovely Stickers. You can find them on Facebook if you want to decorate your steering wheel setup or seat in your team of choice. You're able to go along to them and they will produce you what you want. So we thank them very much as usual. And just to remind you, we have 2 rounds of this 9-round series left. Next week we will be back at the same time for 3 20-minute races at the Bathurst, and then in a week after that we will be at Laguna Seca for our season-ending 2-hour race. So hopefully you can join us for both of those. So what you need to do is underneath the stream, click those like and subscribe, and hit the bell, and you'll get a notification when we are next online. And just remember, this is all completely live, it's not pre-recorded. You can tell that by the quality of production. So hope everyone out there stays safe, and we will see you all very soon.